door. Laughter is completely unprofessional. Tears have no place at the office. Take the emotion out of it. You have to be serious to be taken seriously. These are some of the common stories and beliefs we share about work, our system of work, how to succeed at work. Consciously or not, they inform how we hire, how we reward, how we promote, and how we define success for ourselves. Slight itty-bitty flaw is it's not true. To cut away all of the messy, squishy, confusing, emotional parts of ourselves in our work is actually taking away from what we want to accomplish. It's taking away from what our businesses want to accomplish. I call it the myth of the emotionless professional. Not only is it taking away, it is actually actively harming us at this point in our system of work. And what I want to walk you through today is I want to walk you through a few facets that I've come to understand about this myth. And I want us to look together at another way of showing up, another way of being in our work. Before I do that, I want to talk to you a little bit about why I got curious about this in the first place. Because I bought into this. Like hook, line, and sinker, I was the emotionless professional. Now, don't get me wrong, I let teeny tiny parts of my personality and my emotion show through. The parts that I thought would be palatable to the people I work with, the parts that I thought would do well in my career. I bought into this. This was my character that I played. Every day I put on this character, I went into work, then at about 5:30 p.m. I took it off and I was myself again. And it was working. I was like, great, done. And then the day came when I had to fire Adam. Adam was a mid-level executive at the company I worked at the time, and he was just a really nice guy. And through no fault of his own, as of that day, he was no longer working at that company. This was not my first time firing someone. I knew the drill. I knew the brief. I booked the conference room. I sat down across the table from Adam, and I looked into his face. And before I could even start my preamble, he said, Jess, I get it. I know what's going on. Just let's talk about the numbers and let's get out of here. I looked at the emotion in his face, the sheen of tears in his eyes, and I cracked. I pushed the paperwork to the side, I put my hand on his arm, and I was like, Adam, I'm so sorry, and this sucks. And I don't know what to say to you, but tell me how you're feeling, tell me how you're doing, because this is not okay what's happened to you today. And we spent over an hour. We talked about his fears, his sadness, his confusion. We talked about the fact that he now had to go home to his family and tell his wife and kids that their lives were about to change. We hashed it all out. Firing Adam was the day that I had my professional identity crisis. And this character I was wearing, it just didn't fit anymore. It was uncomfortable and weird, and I couldn't do it. So I wanted to understand this more. I wanted to understand, why did I create this character in the first place, and is there another option? So I want to share that with you today. So the first thing I wanted to understand, suppressing our emotions, is this a real option on the table? Like, is this something we can actually do? And I think you know where I'm going with this, but no, of course we can't, for a number of reasons. Dr. Greg Heinrich has done a number of studies around this and published some really interesting papers. Something that caught my eye in his work, the sheer cost of suppressing our emotions is huge. It takes intense energy to suppress these emotions, because here's what we forget. We think emotions are something that happen in our head, not in reality. No. Emotions are a physiological response to stimuli. It is something that happens in our entire body, right? Think about this. Heart pounding, palms sweating, pit in your stomach, blood rushing to your face. What did I just describe? Fear, anxiety, stress. Kind of what all the speakers have today, right? This is the thing that happens in our entire body. It doesn't happen in our head. Your shoulders shake a little bit, your mouth smiles, you can't quite hold a smile. The laughter keeps coming even though you don't mean to. happiness, joy, excitement. This isn't something that happens in isolation in our head. It is a physiological response to stimuli. And the cost of suppressing that, of hiding what's happening in your head, in your heart, in your body, is huge. That energy, that mental and emotional energy, would be so much better spent on all the things we care about in our work. Our customers, our products, our teamwork, our leadership, our communication, those all take energy. Energy that is being spent pretending we're not feeling what we're feeling. So if we can't realistically suppress emotion, or at least not without a huge cost, how is this impacting the people we work with? What's going on with our emotions in our teams and our customers and our leadership? So here's what I found out. Turns out emotions are incredibly contagious, right? Our emotions, like the common cold, has nothing on our emotions. There's been a number of studies done over the last couple of decades to show this exact thing, to show evidence for this. In 2009, a fascinating study hooked a couple of humans up to an fMRI, which basically just shows what's going on in your brain. Here's what they found. When you are sitting there, nothing's happening to you, and you just see someone experiencing sadness, the centers in your brain that are related to your sadness light up. When you see someone experiencing pain, your pain centers light up. This is happening in your brain. This is not a made-up, ethereal, New Age thing. This is happening. Guys in the audience, the best example I can give you to this that I know you'll identify with. When you see another man getting kicked in like a very, very important area to all of you, what do? You react. Every single time. I have never seen a man not react when that happens. And there's usually one of these, and there's a wince, and it's yeah, because your pain centers have lit up. So how this doubly affects us at work is A, we're affected by the emotions of those we work with. Here's what else happens. When emotions are not talked about and acknowledged at work, we attribute that emotion to our own internal state. When you walk away from someone who is really frustrated, you feel frustrated, and then you say, I feel frustrated, therefore something in my life is frustrating. Therefore something in my environment is frustrating. Rather than, I feel frustrated because that person was so keyed up and I need to now just take a walk to wash that off a little bit. We attribute it to ourselves. So if we can't realistically suppress emotion, and if it's going to affect us anyways, can we use it? Is there a positive advantage to all of this? Yes, of course. Our emotions and the emotions of those around us are a huge source of data, a valuable source of data that right now is not even on the table. Every meeting I have ever been in work, what do we have? Pie charts, graphs, there's always numbers. We love numbers, yes? And while that is important, of course logic and reason and numbers are important in our work, there's also this huge other field of data that we're just not using today that can inform all the things we want to improve. Our processes, how we work, how we communicate, the products we're making. We need the emotional understanding to be able to do that and improve that. We are not these Spock-like characters that we like to pretend we are. We are not rational. I mean, a little bit. We have these messy, unpredictable, confusing emotions. So to not use them to our advantage, to not take them into consideration, is just an enormous waste. It's silly. Okay, so if we can't suppress emotions, and if they're going to affect us and our colleagues and our teammates anyways, what's going on here? Why isn't this already just a common system of working? A way we all do it. We all go into the office and we're like, how are you feeling today, Bob? I'm so happy. Oh, really? I'm sad. No, that doesn't happen. In fact, when you say, how are you doing, and someone starts actually telling you, it's kind of weird. 2 reasons for this. 1, emotions are weird. They're messy, they're confusing, they're unpredictable. Something that made you sad yesterday makes you laugh tomorrow. What is that? They are confusing and messy and unpredictable and awkward. And here's what else is true. Because we believe that, we don't practice acknowledging and dealing with them in ourselves and others. We don't have a skill. We don't practice this skill. And therefore, we think they are messy and confusing and unpredictable. And therefore, we don't acknowledge them and practice them. Dealing with our emotions and those around us is a skill. We are always bad at things before we can be good at them, and that's true of this as well. We don't practice it. Second reason is this, and this is an important one. We confuse something. We conflate behavior with emotion. They are not one and the same. When I talk to people about anger in the workplace, what pops into your head? Yelling in meetings, slamming doors, storming off the shop floor, swearing at someone, probably a finger of some kind being shot. Like, we think of behavior, not emotion. Those are behaviors. Those are choices people made. Having emotions be at the table in the workplace is not anarchy, because what you're not saying is, well, do whatever you feel like doing. No. Of course, there's guidelines and expectations of how we behave in our workplace. All successful workplaces are very clear about what is okay and what is not okay. That's behavior. Emotion is what is the internal state, and is it safe for me to acknowledge what's going on? So I know I haven't really sold you on this, like messy, uncomfortable, awkward, you're bad at it. Here's the thing though. Our emotions at work are also the root of all the things we want to see. Every leader I have ever worked with, what do they talk about? Why have they come to me? Why have they come to someone else? Why do they want to improve things, right? It's always the same stuff. Productivity, motivation, morale, communication, leadership. Sales is pretty much always on the list. Marketing. You do not get better at those things unless emotions are part of the game. Unless you're considering what's going on with the emotions of yourself and others, you simply don't get better at those things. That's not the deal. When I fired Adam, I believed it was either or. In my professional character that I was playing, I believed I had to either be a human, acknowledge that he was a human, and have a conversation about how he was feeling, or I could get him to sign the severance package and get him out of the door. That's what it was either or. I couldn't have been more wrong. It was both and. I got to spend an hour with him talking about how he was feeling, what was next for him, how he was going to rise up from this. And at the end of that meeting, he signed the severance package and left. I wouldn't say happy, but happier than he was. It's not either or, it's both and. So the choice that I want to leave you with today, here's the deal. You absolutely get to choose to continue ignoring emotions in your work. That is an option on the table. And to be honest, it's probably the more comfortable option. You're missing out. The risk is the energy you're wasting, the contagiousness that's happening anyways, the data you're missing out on, the improvements you won't get. There's risks to that, but I guarantee you it will be more comfortable. The other option on the table is to start. Start acknowledging your own emotion in the workplace. Start acknowledging what's going on with the people around you. Start asking questions about this. And here's the thing, you're not going to do it very well. That's okay. You're going to mess it up. You're going to say the wrong thing. Of course you are. You're not practiced. But the rewards you will get from starting this in your workplace tomorrow, the rewards you will get, I guarantee you will outplay this discomfort you feel starting this. The choice is yours. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.